in 2, and in 1. And welcome back, everybody, to another FrameCast. FrameCast number 75. Coming to you live from a brand new place called Gilded, because Discord is a fucking... Drew, how are you doing?
Wow, you managed to get demonetized on YouTube so quickly. Good job.
I have never been monetized on YouTube, so I'm going to keep up that streak.
Fair point.
I don't give a fuck.
The picture quality is crap, though.
It is. Like, sometimes it's, like, alright, but sometimes it just dips massively. So, as long as I keep you, like, small right here, like, you should be somewhat okay, but the moment that, like, it becomes big, like, you can just see, like... Yeah, welcome back to...
Maybe I should just not move. If I sit perfectly still, the picture quality slowly gets better. You can move. I don't know why you're not moving.
Because
you should move for the both of us.
Okay, so I'll just be like the moving one. Hold on, I have this function in my chair where I can just like just keep on bopping around. Yeah, this will be the FrameCast. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Where we haven't.
Weird. Anyway,
nothing's changed. Anyway, apart from being like low resolution right now, how have you been, man?
Life has been a bit crazy, a bit hectic. When was the last time we did one of these?
A long time ago, that's for sure. I think the last one. Hold on, I can go look it up. The last time we did one of these, fuck. Let me go take a look if I can find that. It must have been a month ago, YouTube says right here. Let me see if I can bring it up. May 15th. So a month and a week ago. Or
right, so that would have been post the cock up at work. Okay.
Post the what?
The cock up at work. I accidentally deleted a production server for an old client by pure accident, and had to work my ass off to fix it.
Damn.
It was my mistake and things. But the thing is, like, they didn't penalize me or anything. I'm like, they saw how bad I felt about it. I even sacrificed my holiday and things on my birthday. But guys, I broke it. Like, this is my responsibility to fix. And,
I mean, like, I think that's a really good thing in the sense of knowing that they sort of have your back, because like I always hate working for places where like they pretty much make you sign this thing where you can do everything wrong, and the moment you fuck up once, like there you go, you're out of it. And like that doesn't really make for like a great situation, because like I find that whenever I work in these places where like I can always do something wrong, and where where basically if you make a mistake you're out, like I'm not gonna be like trying to do my best. I'm not gonna be trying to like see like, oh shit, there's a problem happening, let me go and like step in and see if I can fix this. No, I'm just gonna be like, okay, what did you tell me to do? Did you tell me exactly to do this? I'm gonna do exactly what you told me, nothing more, and probably maybe a little bit less, but nothing more than that, because then I can just like show that this, if something went wrong, I did exactly what this person said, so you go to this person. Actually, I find that a really bad way of like, working. But like that's what you get when you get fired for every mistake. So like it's good to hear that they like have you back, but like that's a
and I think they're happy that I had their back. I made the mistake and I diligently fixed it and things. Like I think I put in like 16 hours. No, it wasn't 16 hours. No, I think it was like 16 hours in one day.
Wow.
In 24 hours to get it resolved and everything. And I was working to like 1 a.m. kind of thing, and up at like 7 to try and get it all resolved. And
did it ultimately get resolved?
Oh yeah, I got it resolved, which was glorious. It was great, and managed to do it in 23 hours from when it went wrong. So, but anyway.
Honestly, that sounds like it's pretty fast. By the way, for those of you watching right now, if you're wondering what's going on with the video quality, if you're listening right now, you probably don't really have anything that's like weird. Maybe it's a little bit low today, but that's all right. Like, what's going on right now is we're talking through Gilded, because Discord was not really working with us, especially on my end. It didn't want to like receive Xeno's video signal, and the reason I'm looking towards the left right now a lot is because I only have one monitor. Normally Xeno would be right there on the second monitor, but the second monitor is dead. It was blown off my desk by the wind. So Yeah.
Pretty strong wind.
Actually, it wasn't a strong wind. It
Um,
was just like a pretty mediocre wind, and then just like a curtain blowing against like a very unstable lamppost, just like knocking it down.
Do you have the carcass of the dead monitor? Are you
Oh
able
yes,
to
I
show
do.
us the? Yeah. Do you wanna grab it? And
It is very
this is where, of
anticlimactic.
course, Michelle walks, pulls the other monitor off the desk, and smashes that one too.
Ah, there we go.
Uh,
You can't see anything, but like basically the moment you turn it on, it's just like it's got like a dot right there, and then like lines grown through it.
okay. So it's like the PCB or something has been damaged, or the connection.
I think it's just the LCD layers underneath are just cracked. So the glass itself, like the protective glass, is pretty strong, but like it just like punctured at one spot.
The protective glass survived.
Yeah.
The rest of it did not.
So like the only thing you can do right now is like hold it as a prop. But like I was kind of wondering, like, oh, maybe I can like replace it. But basically, like LCDs are like, or no, monitors are just basically an LCD with like a PCB at the back, and that's it. Like there's nothing more to it. Because like I was like, what if I can find like an LCD replacement? Because this is like a couple $100 monitor, maybe you can like replace it. Turns out the LCD part for this is 481 euros if you want to buy it. The entire monitor costs 311 new. So, yeah, I'm not going to be fixing it.
What I think you should do, is get a green screen, like film or something, and turn it into a prop.
I could do that. I'll probably will. That sounds like a good idea. Anyway, today I actually wanted to go back to a little bit of like the old FrameCast, because honestly we're facing this year where there's like very little going on, because bada bing bada boom, it's Corona times, and guess what? Like all the pieces of news are like, oh, YouTube is putting in a age gating. On like you gotta like show your ID card if you want to be able to watch age restricted videos on YouTube in Europe.
Actually, I had that right. For guess what video? The first video that forced me to do it. Guess.
Oh my god. It must be something really dumb.
Yeah.
Oh, what would be age restricted? What shouldn't be age restricted? Oh my god. Was it something gaming related? Was it something Warframe related?
Yeah.
The dev stream.
It wasn't the dev stream. It was the dev workshop breakdown thing.
Oh my god.
The really official. And I'm like, this is the most PC friendly video that they do, right? And I got age restricted on that, and I'm like, Jesus freaking.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
But I think they personally put that in. Like they choose to put that in because Warframe might be for ages 18 and up. And like honestly, I wouldn't really have a problem with like a sort of age restriction. Actually, okay, so two things. One, I do have a problem with an age restriction, and two, I don't have a problem with an age restriction. If you think that sounds like completely opposing statements, that's true, but not entirely. Let me explain. So I think that there's no problem with identifying like a game which is like 18 plus sort of thing, because that's kind of like, or is Warframe 18 plus mature, or is it like teen?
No. Pretty sure it's teen. I think it's like 13 plus.
Let me look this up. Warframe rating.
Well, why don't you? I look it up and you keep talking.
Let's see. Warframe ESRB ratings. It says mature 17 plus ESRB.
Really? Because I'm looking at 13 plus.
13 plus. Where did you find that?
Googled it. Warframe age rating 13 and above.
So the ESRB.org says 17 plus.
It's all a crock of shit.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see. Yeah, here it says Peggy says 18. Age rating for Warframe is mature 17 plus for ESRB, and the Peggy.info is 18.
Idea. Anyway, yeah.
Anyway, so I don't have a problem. Like I think it makes sense if you like talk about an 18 plus game like Call of Duty or something, that it should be like, okay, it is 18 plus because like the game itself is 18 plus. Like I can get that. However, I don't necessarily agree with this entire idea that like videos that are age restricted should be like you should have to log in and then show your passport sort of thing to like access them, because I think that by default the internet should be for adults, because I don't think the internet is a great place for kids, just in the same way that like you wouldn't let kids walk for like the night part of the city sort of thing. And that's what I think the internet is. So like I think that like basically like the assumption of the internet should be it's an adult that's watching this, and if you like if you want to let kids on it, kids got to be logged in, and that's the responsibility of the parents, because like as long as a kid is under 18, they fall under the responsibility of the parents, and the parents should be able to like that should be their responsibility. So like I don't necessarily agree. Like I do agree that Warframe should be able to set their things as 18 plus, but I don't agree that then as a result of that you are going to have to like log in and like give your passport and all your personal details in order to verify that you're 18 and then be able to watch that thing, and it's also taken out of like recommended and stuff. Like it should just be that like 18 plus content is kind of just like it shouldn't be any different from any other content, because it's just, you know, it's just content for the internet.
I kind of agree a lot of what you're saying, but I do feel that the problem is the ownership does need to fall partly on the corporation's shoulders, because the parents aren't great at it. So the problem is like companies and corporations and things will exploit, you know, various different things until government bodies come around and say like, yeah, you can't do this, you're not allowed to do this, so on and so forth. And I think one of the biggest problems when it comes to realistically parental guidance, it's something that I've heard so many of my teacher friends say, like, you know, that you know what a parent teacher night is, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So like the teachers will come up to the parents will come up to the teacher. It's like, little Timmy won't do his homework. Why isn't little Timmy doing his homework? It's like, well, little Timmy should be doing his homework at home,
Yeah.
right? You
That's
know,
not my domain.
yeah, where you should be managing little Timmy. It's like, yeah, but little Timmy wants to watch TV. He can't do his homework while watching TV.
Oh my god.
Like, why isn't little Timmy? You know, it's crap like that, and like, so I think a lot of the problem is that there needs to be sort of a joint ownership, because realistically, people are too stupid to actually manage this shit themselves.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
You know, like drinking in moderation, right? You know,
yeah.
you see so many European countries that like, oh yeah, you know, we'll let the kids drink sort of thing at an early age and stuff. In the UK, they fucking binge, right? Like we have such a binge drinking problem in the UK because there's no such thing as fucking moderation.
I do wonder though whether that's like limited to the UK only, because like I do also feel that I really wonder how well like the 21 limit for like drinking in the US is like kept up, because like, well, isn't it like the drinking legal limit is like 21 years old sort of thing, and it's like I really can't imagine, and I say that as someone who doesn't drink himself, but like I can't imagine that there's like that 16, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds of like the US are going to be like, oh no, I can't drink until I'm 21. Like, I really wonder like what the statistics are, like the truthful statistics are of people that like have drunk under like the age of 21. I think it's going to be probably a majority, but I don't know.
I think it's going to be pretty high. I don't think it's going to be the majority, but I think it's going to be like in the region of half, right? And I think like the big problem is that we're taught that drinking is this amazing, incredible thing, but really fucking isn't. Right? So it's the same. It's the same with the internet. Everyone's like, "Oh, little Timmy, you want your own Facebook account? Fucking 6 months old. Why do I need a fucking Facebook account?" No,
yeah, no, I agree on that. I like I'm happy that like I grew up at the time that I did, where like the internet wasn't as big in my like childhood years, and then like when I turned like 13, I kind of like started to explore with a little bit of like online gaming, but also not like that insanely big, like, oh, I need to have Facebook or I need to have this. And then like when I was like, what was it, 17, 16, 17, like I really got into like YouTube and stuff. So by the time that I really got into that, like I was 18 when I was like exploring the social media sort of thing. But yeah, like anyway, like again, like it's one of those topics. Like didn't really want to include it for today because like it's one of those things where like I personally don't like this entire like age gating thing, but I also know that it's like there's very little to discuss in the sense of like it's kind of going on, it's kind of happening, and it's like always kind of also kind of like a bit negative. I feel. So like I was kind of wondering, so like for today, let's go to the topics. I wanted to go back to the good old framecast sort of thing where we talk about ideas more than like the latest news, because the latest news has kind of been letting us down. um let's see. Villager says I need to be an internet super spy agent by the age of 3. Well, you're a bit of a late bloomer there, man. Hopefully you're still gonna make it. But yeah, so the topics I wanted to talk about today is what use do CGI game traders still offer? So that's basically also the titular topic for today. Basically coming back to E3, where we've seen like a few of interesting game traders. I want to get back to that soon, but especially like the CGI game traders, bringing like enticing people to pre-order. Can you even like make a pre-order of a CGI game trailer that doesn't even like show anything of the game you're actually going to be playing? And then the second thing I wanted to talk about was balancing a PvP versus a PvE game. This relates to like the upcoming melee nerfs which are coming up in Warframe. I haven't really been keeping all that much track of it, but however, like it has been discussed in detail in the latest 10 o'clock. So if you want to learn more about that, check out 10 o'clock. However, I do think that it's interesting to go over a little bit, especially because like right now we have the melee nerfs coming up in Warframe, but we've also recently had some nerfs in Apex, and I've been playing Apex quite a bit, and it actually made me wonder about like what is the like what are the different approaches in nerfs within like a PvP versus a PvE game, and especially like towards a PvE game, there are some things which I want to get into. But before we do that, before we do any of that, let's go back to like the good old schedule of what games have you recently played over the last month that we have been offline? Because we got to stick to this formula. Let's go.
Oh my god. So obviously been still playing Sinnoh Alice on my phone. Played Uno with you, Hydroxate, and Nazeth. Been playing Bloodstained. That's a great throwback to Castlevania sort of style games. It was really interesting because I watched the 4th season of Castlevania, and then I wanted to play a proper Castlevania game. And the big one that everyone bangs on about is Symphony of Night. I tried that. Fucking brutal. It's hell. It's murder. It's a murderocalypse. And I really feel Castlevania games are the precursor to Souls games. I really, really do. But I then thought, you know what? I have Bloodstained. I kickstarted this game. It looked really cool. I'll actually give it a go on PC. I jumped on it. I actually really, really enjoyed it.
When was the Kickstarter for this game?
Oh God. It's like a couple of years ago, maybe?
Did it like come out like so late, or did you just like get it and then like never played it?
I wanted to play it on the Switch mostly, but the Switch port isn't that great. And like it doesn't run that well at all and things like that. So I just kind of like left it kind of thing. I was busy doing playing other games and things. So then we also played a bit of Left 4 Dead 2, Monster Hunter World, Warframe, and Dauntless. I've been getting quite heavily into Dauntless.
How do you feel Dauntless compares to like Monster Hunter? Because I know these games are quite often compared. I've dabbled a bit with both, but not so much.
So with Monster Hunter, like I feel the gameplay experience is better in Monster Hunter. Like the using the weapons, engaging with the monster, it feels more refined, more polished, right? The UI is garbage, right? What you've got to do, trash. The whole oh, you have to see the cutscene before you can fight the monster. Before you can join your friend. Like, I have seen flaming turds like less potent than that. But Dauntless, the thing that like they've really smoothed out a lot of the bumps that Monster Hunter World has, but they haven't refined the interaction with the monster, right, or the behemoth. And the big thing that I am sort of like pushed away from when it comes to Dauntless is you have like different weapon
Classes.
skill sets. Yeah, classes. Yeah. Once you level that class up to 20, you then former it, right? And when you do, you get a item that allows you to upgrade any one piece of your gear. It takes probably about a day and a half of solid play to get from 1 to 20. So it's not a small feat. And the problem is that to me, as far as I can tell, is the main system of play. So when you actually reset your skill level for that weapon class, so you're using a sword, you've gone from 20 back down to 1, right? You actually have to fight the early level monsters again, because if you try to go fight a level 20 monster and your weapon skill is level 1, it's just going to flatten you. It's just going to kick your ass. And your defensive abilities are also tied into your weapon skill level. And I don't like that.
Shit. That does sound like a way in which you can at least ensure that basically players are going to be returning to like the early gameplay, the play parts are going to be like active, because you'll have like the end game also like cycles through it. But it feels, I don't know, for some reason it feels a little bit more repetitive sort of thing than it would be to like do a lesser number of like variations in like the end game, because like you do like this like you right now you go for more sort of missions sort of thing, because you go from level low to level high, but it will just feel like, oh, I'm gonna start over again, which I don't know. I can see maybe the fault pattern where they're like, well, you know, if you only have like, what is it, X number of like high level missions, you'll only be doing these missions all the time. Now you can also do start missions, which is more. But yeah, like it feels like a kind of like a slap in the face. You just like go down again, go down to the little ones. Woo.
I think people would argue that Warframe has the same system. I think it doesn't, because Warframe, you level up multiple things at the same time. You level up your Warframe, your primary, secondary, your melee, your companion, so on and so forth, right? But with Dauntless, you only level up the one weapon skill for the weapon you have brought with you, right? So if you reset, like you can't say, oh, I'm also leveling up my armor, right? And my armor's at level 20, I'll keep my weapon at level 20, I'll reset my armor, or vice versa. It's, you know, it's always a start from me, and that repetitiveness vexes me. What have you been playing?
Well, I have been I finished off Horizon Zero Dawn, which was at the start of May, was free on PlayStation. Honestly, a really, really good game. I don't think it's gonna be like one of the greatest games for me of all time. I know some people have praised it that way. It's just a really good like open world type game. It's kind of like, I don't know if you've played it, but I don't think you have, because it's like PS4 only.
I don't know. It's on PC.
It has turned on PC recently, but have you played it?
Yeah, I've played it a bit, but trying to find time to play games is like,
I know. Actually, like I actually had this game like in my hands in like 2018 or something, and like I tried to play it, but then like time and stuff. So I actually recorded way back when like a start video of like the first chapter sort of thing. I was like, oh yeah, let's go post this, and then it never happened. But I went through it. Like honestly, like it looks really cool. The setting of Horizon Zero Dawn is just like you're set into this world in the future where like technology has taken over, and because of that humanity has gone back to like tribes living, just like living in tribes. So like you're fighting like robot animals with sticks and stones. You have no clue as like what this entire world does, like how does it function, why are there still robots around, like, and that's something which you'll discover over like a certain period of time. You'll discover like who is the main character, even why is the main character here, and it's very interesting, like the way that goes about like human dynamics and like tribes, human dynamics, the dynamics of like AI and stuff, and it's rather interesting in that sense. And like the world visually looks amazing. The combat system is a little bit like it's all right, but it could have been better. And some of the decisions are just like weird, where just like I don't really want to spoil anything, but there's just like, well, what would you
Are
fight?
these design decisions or plot decisions?
Oh, plot decisions. Plot decisions. It's like
Okay.
if you'd be building an AI, would you like, you know, um, be building a very important AI? Would you just like give one random person who doesn't would just like funds the project just like the power to just like do whatever, or would you like have at least stop gates for it? I think you'd have at least like something that checks on
Wait,
them.
wait. So we're saying, would you give one user super admin
Yep,
on an AI?
yep, on like an AI system that they're building.
What's the potential? Like, I mean, I'm not quite sure why there is even a super admin on an AI.
Well, it's one. I don't really want to get too much into spoilers here, but then again, this game has been out for like 4 years, so fuck it. But it's basically an AI they're creating in like the nick of time to save humanity, and there is just one guy that funds it. That's like to the board of members that are like building it. Like, hey guys, I just deleted one part of it because I felt like it. Ahoo.
What?
Yep, and it's like, how the fuck does that even happen?
I just felt like deleting us. That's like saying, "Oh, I just felt like chucking out a chunk of my brain."
Yep. So like there are parts in there where you're just like, why that would never happen if these are sensible human beings. But apart from that, great story, and like it ends at a point in time where I'm like, I'm very curious where like the sequel is gonna go. Horizon Dawn Forbidden West is gonna be coming up pretty soon. So yeah, like,
Isn't it Horizon Forbidden West?
I
You said
guess
Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West. Zero Dawn was the first one.
I guess it's called Horizon. Like I always call it Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West because I don't know. All right, Forbidden West. Forbidden West is gonna be coming up.
Yeah.
So I've been finishing that, and then last week because it was so warm, like basically at 10 a.m. this morning, or like not this morning, but 10 a.m. every morning last week, it was like already 30 degrees in this room. 30 degrees is where I call it quits. I'm not gonna be streaming then. I'm not gonna be working in here because I'm just not gonna get anything done. So what I did is I booted up my PlayStation 4 right here. I grabbed my very handy PS Vita. Just went to sit downstairs and just like remote play on the PlayStation 4. Works amazing. And I started playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. We talked about that last year. And honestly, I'm kind of ashamed of myself in a sense because like I haven't really rewatched what we said back then, but I think we talked about like, okay, so like Final Fantasy VII Remake, as far as I can remember, like it wasn't entirely faithful to the original, and people were upset about that. And like we kind of discussed that, and I don't know how much we discussed about that, but honestly, like I really don't give a shit. I really enjoy this game. It is so good. I'm like, who cares? Who gives a fuck? I'm like, oh my god, it is so nice. It works so well on this like especially on the PS Vita. Like as I'm playing, it feels like I'm playing like such an insane super handheld game. I know it's not handheld because I'm playing it on the like I'm streaming it basically, but it's so cool. And it's like I'm playing it, and it's like the design is fantastic. Like it just feels like you're watching like this. You're in this experience where it's half like a movie, half like a game. It's like, oh, I love it. I really really love it. I have never really been like played a real Final Fantasy like seriously. This is the first time I'm doing it, and I'm just absolutely in love. So yeah.
So it's really interesting because I feel that some games, they don't have to be perfect recreations of a game. They just have to be a good recreation of a game.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've got the Diablo 2 Resurrected, the remaster of Diablo 2 coming out, oh god, sometime soon. And that's designed to be, oh gosh, what is it? Sorry, Diablo 2 originally, there was no way to reset your talent trees or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
If they actually keep that true to form in Resurrected, I'd be like, fucking why?
Mm-hmm.
Like you could have easily added in a small item to reset your now to do this, I have to bloody rewrite. Oh god, yeah. So like, I really hope that. But even so, I'm probably not going to get it because fuck Activision Blizzard. Am I right, Bobby Kotick?
Oh boy, oh
Um,
boy.
and oh, what was the other one? Yeah, look at fucking. I mean, I think this is scandalous. The fact that they're releasing Diablo 2 Resurrected, and like they still haven't fixed Warcraft 3 Reforged. They're not going to.
They're
They're not.
never
They
going
got
to.
people fucking. Yeah, they're not gonna fucking. Did you hear about the whole Bobby Kotick thing recently?
No, what's been going on with Bobby Kotick this time?
Oh, okay. So, it turns out I don't really understand the full ins and outs of it, but there's like this vote thing that happens to whether or not a CEO will get their bonus effectively for doing a year well done. And apparently, Bobby Kotick only just got the vote, right? To get his bonus.
Okay.
And apparently there's this group, I think it's like CWT or something like this, which are going around basically not like flaming or lambasting these presidents, these CEOs of companies and things, but really highlighting the fact that do these people really warrant having hundreds of millions of dollars given to them, right? And apparently one of the big things that we covered a while ago, Bobby Kotick had his contract halved, right? Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it turns out he has a clause in said contract that any money lost, like that he didn't make up, he could make up in one of these payouts, right?
Oh my
So
god.
because he wasn't going to because he was going to lose the money in the contract because the contract was halved, he could just get it back from one of these payouts. It was really, and basically, on average, when the vote is cast, right, and it's successful, it's normally successful in the 80% region, right?
Mm-hmm.
This time it was 54%. He only won by 4%.
That is
right?
so close.
Yeah.
That is
So
so
it's
fucking
just,
close.
you know, I would love it if basically Bobby Kotick got ousted and then Matt Morheim came back and like he's now the CEO of Activision Blizzard, and then all of a sudden the games are good.
I really wonder though when it comes down to like stakeholders and stuff, because I assume these are like stakeholder votings, or shareholder votes where like the people that like own the company are voting for it. Like I really wonder though, it's like who are those people? Like how do they like view the fucking company, and like how do they vote, sort of thing? Because like the thing which I feel is that it doesn't take anyone like a genius to see, or like any like everyone can see if you're remotely interested in this company, which I think you are if you have like invested a lot of money into it. You want the company to do well, but like you can just take a look at it. Like Warcraft 3 Reforged was a fucking shit show.
Right.
Like you just know that that's not gonna benefit the company. Like you should also know that like such negative sentiment from like the community about like this company, like it's not gonna do it very well. So like I don't get how you can just see all this negative publicity, how you can see how things are just fucking up and like one after another, and then still be like, oh yeah, let's keep on going, yeah. It's like what like these people like the way that like the community reacts to this game, and like the way that's like shareholders react should practically be the same, because every single one kind of wants the same thing. They want that company to produce great things which like the people will enjoy. So like I often wonder like who are these people? Like you might argue, oh, they're out of touch, they don't know what gaming is like. It's like, yeah, but they still vote on this, they're still involved in this, and like I think that if you have money into a company, like invested a lot of money into a company, more than you would ever do with like individual game sales, like if you buy an individual game, like you're never gonna like I'd imagine it's only a small fraction of like what you'd actually invest in a company like that. It's like you gotta be like you have to be somewhat more invested, I'd reckon, but still it doesn't seem like it.
Well, I think the big problem is that a lot of these companies, like a lot of these shareholders or CEOs or, pick whatever you want, they're led by people that run other companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not that they're managed by gamers. That these people that like have the big bucks, they're not gamers themselves. They're just people with money.
Yeah, but regardless of whether you're a gamer or not, If you have money, you've invested in something, you expect more money in return. So in order to get more money
Yeah.
in return, you want the company to do well. And the only way the company does well is if it like places the needs of the customers, which it clearly isn't doing.
Well,
Anyway,
we'll have to see about that. Yeah.
anyway, so but yeah, I've already been enjoying Final Fantasy VII Remake. I am gonna be finishing that soon. I'm already like 20 hours in. Fucking love it. And yeah, um, let's get into the main topic, or like the first topic of today, because Blue Demon is already talking about it, and we haven't even begun talking about it. So let's do this. Woo! What use do CGI game trailers still offer? So yeah, like, have you seen anything of E3? Drew, have you been watching it?
I've seen a few things. Metroid Dread,
Mm-hmm. That
Back
looked
4
good.
Blood, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I watch like a little bit after like the summaries and stuff afterwards. I kind of like watch it. I don't watch it live because it just seems like a waste of time to me. But one thing which I like noticed this time quite a bit is that like again like they're showing some interesting upcoming games. Like the Metroid Dread was one that really like piqued my interest. Other than that, there's a few things like nothing that was really earth shattering to me. But then again, you know, it's like Corona E3. But yeah, like as with like usually like the game previews that they do, a lot of these trailers that they show off contain like a lot of like these CGI cutscenes, which honestly like if I think back of things like Warframe, if I like TennoCon sort of thing, if I think back of like the most amazing like gameplay trailers, think of Cyberpunk that everyone get hyped with Keanu Reeves, like a lot of those like contain like a lot of CGI to like really like sell the thing and make you giddy with excitement. However, they always have this piece of text which just says like image shown not representative of gameplay. And like this time like I just felt like it was very very ubiquitous where we had like some ones that stood out to me were like Aliens Fireteam Elite, Battlefield 2042, and Breath of the Wild 2, which were like all kind of like announced to be coming up, got their own trailers, and they were all CGI trailers, no gameplay actually to be seen. And normally like I remember I used to get excited for it, sort of thing, where it's like, oh man, this is so cool looking. Oh, this is so exciting. I can't wait to see what the gameplay looks like. But now I'm just like, yeah, like honestly, this looks cool, but I don't know what the fuck this game is gonna look like. And then when they bring up pre-orders and stuff, which you can pre-order this game now, I'm like, why the fuck would I ever pre-order this stuff when I haven't even seen what the game looks like? I just seen some like fan-made trailer sort of thing of it. Like actually, like it's an official company-made trailer of it, but like I've seen some representation of what it might entail, but this never really encapsulates what the gameplay experience will be like. So how could I even base my purchasing decision off of this thing alone? So like I'm really wondering like what is the use really of gameplay trailers at this point in time if they're mostly going to be CGI, not really showing much of the like the gameplay itself. Because I just feel like first of all they're not really helping you in any certain way, like making a like good buying decision. And secondly, I just feel like a lot of times like these things just create so much fucking hype. Look at, for example, like Cyberpunk, where like trailers were shown when the gameplay, when the state of the game wasn't even at all in that close a state, and then when the game actually releases, people are just going to be like upset. And I know that's been something which has been going on for a long time. Think about Watch Dogs and stuff, but like this made me wonder, like what is the use of CGI game trailers even? Like, can we even use them still as purchasing decisions, or should we just look at them like, fuck, you know? That looks fun, but don't buy from it.
I don't know what to say, man, because like it does. I don't think it matters whether or not it's a CGI game as a trailer or if it's a in-game footage. I mean, like fucking look at we were literally talking about 2 seconds ago. Warcraft 3 Reforged, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like all of the content from Warcraft 3 Reforged was supposed to be in-game footage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then none of it translated. None of it happened, right? I think the big thing is that no matter what, who, or how a company realistically presents a game, it's really dependent on your faith in that company providing the final product. Like a lot of people felt burnt by Cyberpunk 2077, mostly because The Witcher 3 was such a success,
Mm-hmm.
right? But Cyberpunk wasn't.
Yeah.
People. Oh god, what was there was another game that came out. around the same time, but no one. I think it's like an EA game or something, and it was giant fucking letdown. It was like, yeah, but no one gives a fuck. Everyone expects it from EA, right? And it a big part of it is, where do you draw the line in expectation? And I still think Cyberpunk 2077 is a good game.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well.
Riddled with bugs, totally. Fucking riddled with bugs, to hell and back. Do people get overly butthurt about this stuff? Like, are they overreacting? Yeah, 100%. And a lot of content creators love to oversell the butthurt because it generates them views, right? But I don't think anyone can put any faith in any of the trailers.
Yeah,
I think
I can see that. I can see that for sure, especially if they CGI like gameplay, like even gameplay we're shown is never really representative. Though, like I do think that there is a difference, like between something like this. So, oh wait, hold on, this right here is the stream. There is a difference between the stream and this right here is like the official reveal trailer of Battlefield 6 or Battlefield 2042, and hopefully there will not be sound to this. But like as you can see, like this thing right here. Let's see if we can like go full screen. Like right here, it actually doesn't look quite that great full screen. Can I move this? But yeah, like as you can see right here, this all like is not
gonna happen.
This is not gonna happen in game. And like if you skip through it, like yeah, they do this thing where it's like, oh yeah, it's all like it's like cool epic action, but this is not gonna be gameplay. This is not what the gameplay looks like. It will never be anything close to this. Like you don't like it's not even gonna be useful as gameplay sort of thing. So this is all like, oh yeah, this is all fun and games and it's like, yeah, oh look at this. Fantastic, but like this is not what's going to look like. So like it gives you an impression of like, okay, so there might be something with helicopters, there might be something with cars and stuff, but like really what else do we know? And then there is a separate official gameplay trailer which is by far less viewed, where you do get a more like gameplay aesthetic. So like this is what the game will probably look like. Again, we don't necessarily know because honestly, like this is still a trailer, so this will probably not be the finished product. But this right here looks a lot more around like, okay, so I can imagine this being a game which I can play. I can imagine like what this looks like. I can get some sort of idea of like, oh, look at that. I can like look at that freedom. Look at that freedom of movement. That I like that, being able to like zip line across. Obviously, it might still be different. It might still not look as insane as this does right now, but like I can still get more of an idea. And when it comes to like, for example, when they announced Breath of the Wild 2, yeah, I know what Breath of the Wild like looks like, but that trailer just didn't give me anything at all. That I'm like, whenever people ask me like, oh man, are you excited for like Breath of the Wild 2? I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know anything about it. And I just feel like every single time like you see these CGI trailers, it just like gets everyone like super overly hyped for something, which is never gonna happen. Like I think Cyberpunk, I knew that was gonna be so overhyped, because people were just like expecting it to be way more than just like this, single player story game, and like I don't know, like I would always recommend against like buying off of like a trailer, but this doesn't even seem to be like a smart decision at all. It just seems to be like, just whenever you see only CGI, just don't buy until like you've fucking seen some gameplay.
Even then, I'm still don't buy until there's a review. Don't buy until you've like. I mean, I told you before, I didn't like how Doom 2016 played. I didn't like it at all. It was just an arena shooter. You went into a room, you had to clear the room before you could go on to the next room. I didn't like that at all. This was not Doom to me. But I waited until I saw some raw, unedited footage of Doom Eternal. I mean, I really like the Russian Badger, right? But all his footage was still chop, change, rearrange, right? Oh God, who else did I see do one? And I saw a few people, but it wasn't until I saw Markiplier do one, right? Where it was from the beginning of the game, uncut, right? I actually felt certain I'd be interested in playing the game. Yeah. And a lot of the media these days, it is so heavily tailored to just hype the shit out of whatever you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And no, I don't like. I will not recommend ever pre-ordering a game.
No, me
Never.
neither. No,
So
I've done it for 2 times basically for like Anthem and Mass Effect Andromeda, and basically I just bought Cyberpunk straight out before even any reviews were out because it was like whether there's gonna be a train wreck or not, I still want to play this.
yeah,
But like I was satisfied with Andromeda. I was not satisfied with Anthem, and like Cyberpunk, I still think it was a really good game. I really enjoyed it, despite the bugs. I really enjoyed that game. I think that Blue Demon here says that if Cyberpunk was a linear game instead of an open world RPG, it would have been the best game of the decade. What do you think, Drew?
disagree. I no. Cyberpunk 2077 was a great game, regardless. The thing that would really make Cyberpunk best game, no, like, to me, the best game of the decade is Nier Automata.
I agree. I
Right?
fully agree with that. Yeah,
And like Cyberpunk doesn't even come. I don't think there's anything Cyberpunk could do to come anywhere close to Nier Automata's portrayal. Right? The
yeah.
the character development was excellent, and I wouldn't say it's non-existent in Cyberpunk, but it kind of is, right?
No, yeah, I agree.
It's all on what you want to do. And even if it's a linear story, like they'd have to rework shit tons of the story. They'd have to rework so much of the gameplay. They'd have to add in boss fights to actually give you a sense of progression. Honestly, I don't. And then it's just like, well, this is just a copy of fucking Nier Automata.
Well,
Honestly, I think Cyberpunk stands really strongly on its own right now for what it is.
no, I agree. No, I think that Cyberpunk is a really enjoyable game, just in the same way that like Horizon Zero Dawn is a really enjoyable game. Horizon Zero Dawn definitely has like the better finish, like at least compared to like when Cyberpunk launched. But we all know it had a rough launch, and even regardless of the bugs, I really enjoyed the game. I think that it was impressive, but like it didn't blow me away as much as some other games have, where like I was absolutely blown away by like the quality of like how good the game was. Like, wow, this looks so cool. However, when it comes to like best game of the decade, I think Nier Automata hands down. It's like it's not necessarily like I think that when it comes to best game of the decade for me, it's not necessarily like how well a game is executed. It's also like how well it's an experience. Because like it's like you can do a really good game. You can do, for example, like a really good Mario game. Like you can do like that best Mario game in the world. But I still know what's gonna happen. I still know that like the way it's gonna be played, and it's gonna be enjoyable. But it's not gonna do something with me. It's not really gonna like bring me down for like a couple of days where I'm just like, wow, I have to sit down because that was a fucking experience. And I'm sure that if you were to remake Nier Automata, it wouldn't do the same thing. Because like the way that game is built, the way it uses its mechanics, its characters, it's just insane. Especially with like the endings, but also with like oh my god, it's like I again, like I don't want to spoil anything because like seriously, you should play that game for yourself because it's really fucking good. It's on Game Pass. You can get it for free if you have Game Pass. Actually, not for free, but because you have Game Pass, but you can get it on Game Pass. But it is such an experience where like I haven't seen any game that comes close to it. I do feel that what is it? Final Fantasy VII Remake, like the game I'm playing right now, does kind of like have a certain vibe to it, which like I can kind of like relate with when it comes to like Nier Automata, like this kind of like vibe of like the in like, not inevitable future, but like this really dire future where like regardless of your efforts, everything so like drowns and it's all like bad nostalgia sort of thing where like you're there in this world where you don't want to be and it's like it's old in the future, oh that's so bad. Like there is this thing which really makes you like think. It's like an existential game where like you just like think like, oh my god, like there are so many things that like it calls upon where it kind of like tugs at your emotion, which I like. But it's still a bit too linear, a bit too much where I'm like, this game, I don't know, like it doesn't give the same vibe that Nier Automata does, and Cyberpunk neither.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I think Cyberpunk on its own, as you say, is a really good game. I'm really curious for like the DLC and how many people will play that, because like they're gonna have free DLC coming up like somewhere at the end of this year, maybe
Yeah.
start of next year. I'm really curious as to like what that will look like, and I'm also curious how many people will play that, because like I feel this game like had so
Oh,
much
I
hype,
totally will.
but like I'd play it.
I totally will.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually looking at the Steam Awards for 2020,
Mm-hmm.
right? And out of Detroit Become Human, Mafia Definitive Edition, Red Dead Redemption 2, Metro Exodus, and Horizon Zero Dawn, what game do you think won Best Story?
Oh God, was it? What was most known at the time? Like, well, I think Detroit Become Human might have been like the most like active at the time, where people were, like, go for it. So I'll place my bet on that, but I'm not sure.
Okay, I would have also placed my bet on either Metro Exodus or Horizon Zero Dawn, but no, the game was Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh my God.
Right? The game that apparently the first multiple hours is just, what, riding a horse?
I've played that game,
Oh.
like for what is it, 30, 40 hours or something. I like. It's a really tough game to get into, because it really starts off slow with like riding a horse for a lot of time. It is fun, but then when I played, what was it? Um, it got to a point where it got like really slow, sort of thing, where like things weren't progressing as much. And then like I was like, okay, so like this is taking me a little bit too long. Let me kind of like see what's gonna be coming in, what's gonna be coming up, because like I don't know if I really like down for like another so many hours of it. And then I just read that basically like the ending like really doesn't matter what you do, because like the ending is pretty much gonna be like that much different. And I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna spend so many hours to just like get like the same sort of ending, like sort of thing. Fuck that. So
Yeah.
yeah, like I never finished it. Like I can appreciate the game, I can appreciate the way that the world is built, the way that the bulls of the horse like get smaller and bigger. Like fuck yeah, I'll give you an extra point for that on the game. But like seriously, other than that, it didn't blow me away.
Yeah. It's and like I feel that, you know, oh, which company can pay the most to get an award? You know,
Yeah,
that's
or
just,
be on the public mind. Really, it's like what are people thinking about at that time, and what they don't want to vote on, right?
well, like I mean, there was another award, right? Better with Friends,
Mm-hmm.
right? Sea of Thieves, Borderlands 3, Fall Guys, Deep Rock Galactic. Yep, that is Deep Rock Galactic, or Risk of Rain 2. Guess what won?
Among Us.
Oh god, I wish fucking Among Us was in this.
I mean, like, how can that be? But I mean, Fall Guys. Then I guess.
Yeah, yeah, because at the time it was stupidly popular, right? And then like they have Labor of Love, which is like Counter Strike, Among Us, Terraria, Witcher 3, and No Man's Sky, right? Guess which one?
I would say maybe Among Us, because that was pretty popular
Nope.
at the time. Otherwise, No Man's Sky,
Nope.
CS:GO,
Huh?
CS:GO.
Yeah, CS:GO.
My
Yeah, CS:GO.
God! Oh my God!
Yeah, I'm sorry. I would actually argue CS:GO is probably the least loved out of the lot, right? I mean, I'm sure. Like, how much effort have the developers of Valve actually put into CS:GO?
I really don't know. Like that game just seems to be always be around. It's in the same sort of state. But like honestly, like I wouldn't have minded even if
Hold
it.
on. How could it be a game of 2020 when it came out in 2012?
I know, but like that's to say, like Minecraft also continues to rack up awards, and people continue to argue that. But actually, no, people have started to argue that with Among Us, where people are like, Among Us is a game from 2018. It can't win any awards. But yeah, they do that, and like I would have even understood if it was like No Man's Sky, because I haven't played that game myself, but I do know like how that game came out, and people fucking hated it, and that creator just like sat down and went at it and really like turned it around, and I think that that is amazing. But yeah, I mean, wow, that is crazy. Actually, one really cool thing, like I saw Anthony Padilla made a interview video with like the creators of Among Us. Apparently, there's like 3 creators of Among Us, and they talked about like how it what is it like with like having your game blow up and having over 500 million people play it and demand like new content and demand like server issues to be fixed and stuff. Honestly, it was pretty interesting to watch. If you haven't seen it yet, I would really recommend it.
Anywho, I think regardless, CG trailers.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'd much rather see the CG be in like the game itself, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna start up and there's like a really cool intro sequence, or in the middle of the game there's a really cool middle of the game sequence, because those don't happen that much. Um, but yeah, um, that's just like I was just looking at it this time, like it just bored me, like because I know I have been at a place where like I would just like freak the fuck out, um, over these things, and now I'm just kind of like, yeah, like it takes the hype away from me. Like if I see like an actual playable demo where they actually playing it and they actually allow other people to play, I'm like, fuck yeah, I can get excited about that. Not excited I'm gonna pre-order, because I never do that, but like I will be like, oh man, I'm looking forward to this. But if I just only see like CG footage, I don't care.
I mean, to be fair, if we want to talk about questionable announcements during E3, like, what about the sodding? The Take-Two one, which is all about diversity in the workplace. It just feels like, oh yeah, we booked a slot hoping to have a game ready in time, but we didn't. So, talk about diversity in the workplace.
It,
What was the other one?
it really felt
Oh
like,
god,
oh god,
Gearbox. Yeah, Gearbox and the fucking video for, I can't remember what it's called. A Gearbox announce. Oh, the Borderlands movie. That was it.
no,
And
yeah.
they had this weird, awkward segment with Randy Pitchford and Kevin Hart.
Yeah. I mean, it just like this year still just feels, and I think it's because of Corona, it just feels like nothing spectacular is really happening. So it's like there are some good titles releasing this year, really good. Like join it tomorrow. There'll be Scarlet Nexus. I don't know how good that is, but I know from some people that like they're looking forward to that game. It looks like a fun like edgy anime style game, and I'm like, well, I'll probably check it out. Seems like
Which one?
Scarlet Nexus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so like I haven't really like dived very deep into it. We watched a trailer once on stream. It seemed kind of fun. But like it's not like nothing really feels like there's a groundbreaking going on. Like you're also not having those like watch this your breathtaking moments, because there's no physical E3, and I also just feel like a lot of developers are like, well, let's see if we can get something out. Oh boy, it's not really happening, because working from home is very much different than working from like studios and stuff. So yeah, it just feels a bit meh, and like I really hope that it's like Corona and it's not like me becoming older and just feeling it like it's meh. But it kind of feels meh.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking through the actual announcements, or I'm trying to, on IGN's website. I mean, could you just give me a list, please? Metroid Dread, I'm interested in.
Me too.
Shin Megami Tensei 5, I have a little bit of interest in, because I actually like Nocturne. And that very much feels like a spiritual successor to that. Don't care. Guardians of the Galaxy, like, come
Yeah.
on. Like, I can't, do you not want to fix Avengers first? No? Okay.
Yeah.
What
That's
else
that
do we
that that
got?
that felt bad too. It's like I really don't know what the player numbers are right now for Marvel's Avengers, but it really is not a game that's stuck around. And I feel this is not gonna do that much better either.
I'm just looking through the rest of the list, and I mean, to me, that's, oh, sod the Gearbox section. That was pretty much it.
Yeah.
Like, there's, what was it, Mario and Rabbids
Yeah.
Spark of Hope. That, like, I really liked the first one because it was sort of like an XCOM, it's a tactical turn-based game, and I actually quite like that one. But again, I'm not in a huge rush. That's about it. I can't think of much else that came out.
I know that like
Wondering
what is it like? Sea of Thieves announced that they're going to do some sort of crossover with Pirates of the Caribbean.
That started.
which I thought was like it looks pretty fun. Then again, like I don't know what much is gonna add, but like it's just like from someone who really enjoyed the first three Pirates of the Caribbean movies, like yeah, like that's fun. It kind of like to me signifies a bit of like it becomes more often that you see mainstream like franchise interacting with like live service game sort of thing. Look at Fortnite, for instance. Look at like Sea of Thieves. Games have always been like colliding with movies, but like I don't feel as much in the way where it's like, oh yeah, let's have this like crossover with like this kind of like unrelated game. Like Sea of Thieves like is obviously like related to the same sort of theme of like pirates and stuff, but it's not like related by oh it's going to be a Pirates of the Caribbean game. It's just like a game that's out there doing pirate stuff like and like oh yeah, let's combine it with this Disney franchise, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah. Let's see. Sea of Thieves looks fun, but it's an extremely boring game. It's not fast paced, but I do still think it's fun if you play with friends. It's like
I think that's the important thing. Is like how many games these days do you need friends to keep you entertained?
I feel more and more with multiplayer becoming more and more a thing.
No, I completely agree. Like too many games these days rely so heavily on multiplayer, and it just feels like oh, this is a shell of the product. You get.
Oh yeah, I mean like the Battlefield announcement. I was real like okay, so a couple of months ago, like Tribal told me like go play Battlefield 4 because that campaign is really good. And I was like a Battlefield campaign. I don't know what to expect, man, but sure, let's give it a shot. And it was actually pretty good. I really enjoyed that. Like for like a Battlefield Call of Duty style campaign, it was amazing. I really enjoyed it. I had fun with it. So I was like, I'm looking forward to what they do in Battlefield 6. And that became Battlefield 2042. And they said, we don't do any campaign anymore. We're just going to tell the story through multiplayer events. And I'm just like, oh boy, why? Because that's not going to happen. That's not going to be good. And that seems to be like sort of a trend. Like, honestly, okay, so have you ever played Overwatch?
Unfortunately.
I haven't played that much, like barely. Like I booted up like once or twice, but I were like looking from the outside. It seems like that game has like a lot of lore going on around it, similarly to like how Apex has a lot of lore around its characters, and they do like insanely cool like cinematic trailers, but they don't feature any campaign content. They don't feature any story content, and it's like I think it's a. I think it's with like the character design they do, with like the stories they put behind it, with the lore they write behind it. It's a fucking crime that they don't have some PvE story mode of it. Like seriously, I would kill for that.
Yeah, there's like what's it called? That was supposed to be like one of the big, as you like to say, titular things with Overwatch 2, right? Oh fuck, I'm not getting it. I don't give a fuck.
No.
Right, like, you'd have to get someone. You'd have to. God rest his soul, you'd have to resurrect Total Biscuit and get him to praise Overwatch 2 before I'll play it, right? Yeah. And I like first one is just like such. There's so much lore, as you explained. There is no plot whatsoever. The whole point is there is good guys and bad guys, and they don't get along. But in terms of the gameplay, they're working side by side. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
No.
Right? And they just want more money. Fucking gacha. Oh, loot box. Oh, you want a skin? I'll give you a skin.
Yeah, well, like what I don't get is like okay, so this released like 2 days ago. This is like a what is it? Oh, subtitles are turned off. Okay, get rid of subtitles. This right here is like a trailer for Apex, and honestly, this thing is 6 minutes long. Like someone pointed it out to me during a stream. I watched like 2 minutes of it without any sound because honestly, I'm afraid of Twitch like striking this. But if you look at this, a 6-minute trailer of this, like this is not made in game. This is not like an in-game engine. This is all like CGI made with like custom like foils. Like it's honestly like if you just go for it, like this is crazy. This is a crazy amount of effort for just a trailer, and I'm just like, why don't you put this in like are quests. Why don't you make this like some sort of like playable campaign where you just have like part of this and just like put some gameplay in between? Like it can't just be like in standard set pieces sort of thing, but like please, like like you're making these universes interesting. You're making these universes be something where I'm like, wow, that looks cool. Wow, these characters, like there might be something going on here. And like and most of the time these characters also have like ongoing like lore sort of thing where like you have like comics or stuff where like over time like things change. I'm like, why the fuck is this not like, why don't you use this in a game? Like it just blows my mind. Its entire focus, full on focus on multiplayer, and then still the recognition like, we probably should need some sort of like story, but then like not any like wanting to like expand that into the game. That's also like when I booted up Overwatch for the first time because like someone had it laying around. I was like, oh, let me go watch this. Let me go check this out. Is there a campaign mode? And I didn't see a campaign mode. I just like instantly logged off because like I didn't care. And yeah, it just honestly it makes me sad because like the stories and like the CGI trailers look so good, and then it's like just don't follow it up, and I don't get it. I really don't.
I you know, it's the fucking same with Warcraft 3 Reforged, with God, I can't really think of a game. Actually, no, I can, right?
Mm-hmm.
The original Warcraft 3. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
They fought like, I don't know if you remember the original Warcraft 3. I don't know if you want to look for footage of the original Warcraft 3. Hint, hint. It looks like freaking hell. They're fucking, you know, Looney Tunes-esque cartoon characters. They look fucking awful in game. But the CGI that was used in the introduction, right? It was pretty top notch, right? And then again, same with World of Warcraft and things like that, where they actually have proper CG intros and things, and the gameplay experience. So visually is not 100% the same. The gameplay seriously makes up for it. But when you actually have skip forward. Can you skip forward? Forward. Keep going. Towards the end. This is all it's gonna do.
It seems like an intro right here. It's still like 2 minutes long, so.
I wonder if there's. Yeah, well, regardless, the characters in the game, they look like, you know, Muppets.
Yeah.
They look like glorified Muppets. But yeah, but a lot of these games that they weirdly enough rely so heavily on the visuals to be the sole reason as why someone should play them.
Mm-hmm.
And I've played some games that like freaking Dead Cells. How many hours have I put into Dead Cells? And that's a pixel game.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's all pixel art. It's really interesting how they do that. It's all CG render, so it's all 3D models and everything, and they turn it into pixel art. It's brilliant, right? What other games have I played? It's, you know, the visual aesthetic is not the core driving force, but a lot of companies, they exploit that. Oh, look how many polygons we have made for 2B's butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, 30,000 polygons just for her butt. I bet you 50 quid that's not 30,000 polygons for her ass at all. I think that's just a fucking joke.
Well, why don't we ask for like a very detailed model and we can just like count it. But no, like
1 butt polygon, 2
butt
polygons.
Free. We'll just do that as a 24-hour live stream. How long we're ever gonna need. But anyway, like I do think that one of the reasons why is because like you can sell it very easily. Like you can just like, look at this scenery. Look at how cool it looks. You can have like some sort of drone shot sort of thing going for like the scenery and be like, oh my god, that looks cool. Oh, that looks great. But like when it comes to like a story, it's like it's really hard to tell because like you can't really sell anyone. Like, oh, it's got a great story because everyone fucking says that. So like, and you can't really give away like the twists and turns of the story because a lot of times like stories are good when they have twists and turns and you can't really see it coming. and like you can't really give that away. So like it's something which is kind of hard to sell in like a soundbite sort of thing, where it's like, look at this beautiful grass. Oh, the grass goes back and forth. Oh my god, you have water droplets, and the water droplets have reflections. And you have like an eye, and oh my god, the eye looks so natural. Like we're so up close to the eye, you'll never be this up close to an eye. But like, wow, look at the eye. Oh, now it's raining. Oh my god, it's raining. Oh, look at how cool that looks. It's like you're never gonna see that in game. You're never gonna bother with that in game. It sells very well because like, look at how cool this looks. At the same time, I feel that's also fading because I remember the PlayStation 3 era where games all of a sudden went from like looking like you know, kind of crappy 3D to something which was approximating realistic at the time, and I was like, wow, this looks so cool. And I haven't really had that jump in like something crazy like lately, sort of thing. So
I've linked you an image.
can you post it in Discord?
Oh yeah, I can post it in Discord. Yeah, no problem. I've linked you an image. So yeah, if you're up for displaying it on screen and things like that, the image is an advertisement of the Burger King Whopper versus the actual Whopper.
Mm-hmm.
The weird thing is, you go into a Burger King and you see the thing on the left advertised literally everywhere.
Yep.
Right? But what you get in the box is the thing on the right.
Mm-hmm.
The weirdest thing is, people don't kick off about the thing that's in their hands. They're like, yeah, that's perfectly fine. Like, look how sad and depressed that bun looks. Right?
I wonder what that's also the reason why they put it in a box, because like technically the reason it's in a box is so you can like move it around, but like honestly, like how far are people going to move with like their burgers, because like they're going to have to eat it pretty fast.
Yeah.
But like because like the thing which I feel is like I never really like look at my burger all around whenever I eat them, which is not that often. But like whenever I do, it's like you just like open it, you start eating because like you're hungry, and it's like you open it, you eat, and like the moment you start eating, of course, that with any fucking burger, even if the burger looked like the thing in the advertisement, it's always gonna fucking fall apart. Like you're just gonna eat it, and like the half of it falls out. So like at that point, like the entire texture and composture of like this thing is like gone. But like I wondered, like maybe that's the reason they do it, so people don't even see like how much it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, but the weird thing is, and like this is something I've grown to appreciate a lot as I got older. As soon as you see the advertisement, and then you sort of have this fictitious image of what the actual product is when you get it in your hands. So when you start eating it, it's sort of like you've mentally replaced the depressing, sad burger that's in your hands with the glorious, magnificent, you know, fist-sized burger like that's on the avatar. It's like very rarely do people do this, and I think that is a big thing with, like, you know, that's the suspension of disbelief, right? So you believe wholeheartedly that the thing that's on the screen there is the thing that's in your hand, and it's not until someone either points it out or you actually, you know, compare it side by side, you're like, oh, that's completely different. And I think it's the same is true with video games, right? Until someone like puts them side by side, right? I mean, I struggled to see the visual difference, and this is possibly because of my dyslexia. The difference between the CG Keanu Reeves and the in-game Keanu Reeves. Yeah, there's a huge difference, but from memory, I can't tell you what those differences are.
Yeah, no,
I think
so too.
that's what these game developers are really, not developers necessarily, but maybe the publishers. That's what they're really pushing for. They want you to sort of mentally replace the okay footage with the stunning, super fidelity, ultra amazing trailer you saw mere moments ago.
Yeah, like I really feel that this stuff is it's like it's always like trying to like fake things in your mind, trying to look for something like hold on, like I'm trying to see. Recently, there was this thing that came out, which was AMD Fidelity FX Super Resolution FSR. So basically, like if you haven't really like if you don't really know what that means, basically like NVIDIA came up a couple of years ago, like with like the 20 series, they came up with DLSS, which is basically deep learning super sampling, which like basically like the idea behind that is it can recreate a higher scale image than like it actually has. So it would like upscale like a 1080p image into a 4K image for like deep learning super sampling. So like what it would do is like take just like a standard 1080p image and then just like try and like up the resolution by just like guessing what like it would look like if it would be higher resolution, so that if you can achieve the same results with like DLSS plus 1080p, you wouldn't have to render 4K images and thus would like need less resources. And it's not really been implemented in that many games. It's been something which is like kind of universally been like, okay, first generation or something, but like it's been quite a ride for like people that have found a use case for it. Like they've really enjoyed it, and AMD has always lacked that. So they recently came out with like this FSR, which basically like is something similar, like a similar sort of technique, and like this thing actually like is really cool. Like they made it in such a way that it applies to all current AMD cards and like a bunch of like previous AMD cards and also all current NVIDIA cards and a bunch of like previous NVIDIA cards. So like they're just like open sourcing it basically, or like not entirely open sourcing, but they're opening this technology up for like pretty much any graphics card out there up to a certain range. But they just like up released this like recently, and honestly like there are videos out there right now. One of which right here is from Gamers Nexus, where they're like, okay, so like here are the images. Which one is like the native 4K? Which one is the 1080p? And which one is the like FSR? Like again, like this right here, if you're watching this is like of course like this is really bad because like YouTube like crushes the quality, like my like stream crushes the quality, so it's really hard to fucking see. But honestly, I can watch this screen right here and I can't tell. I cannot tell you looking at this like which one is like the 1080p one, which one is the 4K one, or whatever. It's so hard to tell, and like only when like.
Could you send a link to everyone? So put one in chat and then send it to me as well, because
yeah,
I'll just put it in chat and I'll grab it.
Here, I'll copy it and throw it in there. And then later on, like Gamers X is like then they show which one it is, so like you can like. Let's see, like there we go, like the middle one was 4K native, the left one was FSR performance, and the right one FSR balance sort of thing. And it's like, how am I even supposed to tell?
It's really hard to tell because, I mean, well, for me, the bloody video's downsampled to, what's the name of the damn thing?
To YouTube quality.
Yeah, so, like, it just makes it like, yeah. I mean, what was the? Oh God, what was there was a? I think there was a video that was designed to show off the speeds of the new like 10, sorry, the 30 gen graphics cards or something like that for on Doom Eternal, and like, you know, watch as it goes to 170 frames per second. Yeah, but YouTube only goes to 60. So,
yep.
Yeah, and they had to put like a frame rate counter on there. Like, watch as it goes from 110 to 170. I'm like, yeah, but I'm still fucking watching on fucking 60.
Do you remember that Red smartphone, like from the like camera company Red?
Oh, what? No, I don't actually.
So they made this phone called the Red Hydrogen 1, I think. If you look that up, Red Hydrogen 1, like it was like Red is a really high end camera company, like super high end, like
yes, I know them.
It's like super productions, YouTube productions, like they all use this thing, and like the idea was like they were gonna make a smartphone which was gonna be insane, and like people were having high expectations of this thing because first of all, this thing just looked like a fucking brick. Like just look at this thing. This thing doesn't scream like, oh man, this is gonna be like some like tiny ass phone sort of thing. This is gonna be like big, but like this thing was announced, people were super excited for it, and they said two things. First, the camera's gonna be amazing. You're gonna have add-ons with like the pads right here at the bottom, and what's gonna be more is you're gonna have a entirely new display experience because we're gonna have a holographic display, which is gonna be able to display things like you've never seen before, and like literally. no one could show it on YouTube because yeah, like guys, you can't see it on camera, but like if I look at it, it definitely looks like funny and it looks new and looks insane, but like yeah, you know, you can't see it on video. So it fucking failed. Like not necessarily because of that, mainly because like they were super late with like shipping the product. They could only ship like the low tier version of that phone, and basically the cameras that were on it weren't that good. And as far as I know, like accessories never shipped. So this phone was like a big failure. But like this entire thing where they're like trying to sell you things like, oh my god, look at the display, but like you can't see it on the video. It's like it's really hard. If I can't see it on a picture or in a video, it's like it's really hard for me to like actually like buy based on that if I can't go to a store and like look at it because yeah.
So, you know me, I'm really all about my headsets, right?
Yeah.
My Sennheiser 552 headset. I love this thing with a. You can't see it because it's a blur.
Yeah.
Blur. Sorry. I love this headset, and I wanted to get a review about the version 1 and the version 2. And the number of reviews are like, oh, the box and the packaging is really nice. And it's like, I found so many reviews like, you're not telling me that. Oh, it sounds like really deep, and you know, it's like, yeah, you can describe it to me all you want, but give me some decent understanding of like comparisons. And one guy, fucking legend, right, got an ASMR microphone, right, with actual ears, you know, put the headphones
on the stand.
Huh?
This guy, right? Dank Pods?
No, I don't think it's. I don't know if it's this guy. But yeah, this is
The
effectively
ears on the
what
stand.
happens.
Oh, like this is the first guy I've ever seen do it. Dank Pods like makes really cool. Like he's like a drummer and like audio enthusiast, and he just started making videos about like iPods and stuff, and then like moved into like doing headphone stuff. And he has this thing where he plays the same song. He shows like he also explains like how this graph right here down below, like the graph for like these frequencies works, the frequency graph, and then like he compares it to like the Herder 600s, which are like the Sennheiser AT600s, which are like one of the like industry standard headphones, and then like he plays it on this like ears on a stand, which is like some ASMR headphone thing, and he will play the same song, and like he'll interchange between like the two headphones, and like seriously, like he says as well, it's like, yo, like you're watching this for like YouTube, which compresses like into the hell and back. You're watching it for like your own headphone sort of thing or your speakers.
Yeah.
So this is not going to be the way it sounds, but it will give you an impression. Like seriously, like you're gonna hear the same song like every single time. Like you will swap between them, and like honestly, this is the first time I've ever been able to tell like the difference in like headphones. And then like I'll watch one of his reviews, or like one of his videos covering, like he doesn't really do reviews, he kind of covers like these things in like a fun way, and then like Linus covers it, and I go to like the Linus thing, it's like, yeah, it sounds fun, like it sounds fine, like but it sounds different. Like I have no idea, like you could be describing wine to me, and I'm just like, I'm clueless. But here I actually get an idea, so like yeah, I get what you mean.
It's like, yeah, I mean, we need stuff to actually properly validate these advertisements for. And honestly, I'm just gonna keep saying this: don't pre-order stuff anymore.
Nope.
Just don't do it.
I don't see.
Move on to our next topic.
Yeah, let's go to the final thing. So this right here comes down to balancing a PvP versus a PvE game. This thing kind of came up to me because of like the upcoming melee nerfs in Warframe, which you will obviously know more about than I do. But as far as I know, is that Warframe has recently announced some upcoming nerfs to its melee system through like nerfing some popular high-end melee mods. Like I know that Berserker is going to be changed to like Berserker Fury, so you can't combine it anymore with like Prime Fury or regular Fury. Blood Rush is going to be nerfed, Condition Overload again. And like this has gotten some people a little bit upset because people love their melee, and like the idea kind of here is that like in the high end levels, like it seems like a lot of people are using melee, preferring melee over guns. I personally really like melee Warframe because like it's fast. I like the movement of it. I also enjoy my guns, but I will admit that I'll probably play more melee, like for probably like a 60-40 or 70-30% like in favor of melee. But yeah, like the idea is like for like higher levels, like this should encourage people to like use guns as well, because now melee will be less viable. Now there is like a discussion on 10 o'clock about like this topic of like the melee nerfs. So like you could go and watch that in the latest episode of 10 o'clock. But like the thing which I was more curious about is like the process of like nerfs within PvE games, because like I'm seeing this right now, and like of course I've been like part of like the Warframe nerf process for like a long time, and I know very well that whenever someone says like, oh, this is gonna ruin the game is gonna die because like all the weapons will go down, it's like, no, that's not never gonna fucking happen, because I remember when Ash's Bladestorm got nerfed, I remember when the Silent Gamma Core got nerfed, I remember when the Bolter got nerfed, the Bolter Prime and the regular Bolter got nerfed. Like seriously, there's always gonna be something which is OP. But like I'm really like I'm now a bit curious as like the way that this process goes compared to like a PvP game, because recently Apex Legends, I've been playing that a lot. The game came out with like a brand new bow, which like the first time bows have been in that game, and that bow was powerful, man. Like you didn't really hear it because it's a bow, so it didn't really have any sound, and in 2 shots it could just absolutely slaughter you. So you would just be like, wait, where's all my health? Okay, I'm dead, and you'd have no clue. And then you also had this other gun, which is like called the Spitfire, which is like a gun with like an insanely big magazine. So you could just like drop down, like just like start firing that thing. You could kill 3 people without having to reload and without having to hit every single shot. So like if you were facing that, like you were fucking done for. So these things were nerfed because like basically if you're facing those things, it is a really bad time for you, and like so much that it's kind of unfair. So I can see why they nerfed that, but from what I've heard, like a lot of people just be like a bit negative about like these nerfs coming up with the melee with Warframe. And I can kind of understand it because like I think the melee system in Warframe is a great selling point. Especially like I really love my melee trinity where I could like get my crits and stats like to a crit chance and stat chance like 100%, and I'm like, oh, just go to town with it. I loved it. I really loved it. And I'm kind of wondering like are these like why necessarily like what's the purpose of these nerfs happening? Because I feel that a lot of this might come down to, from my personal perspective, I feel it comes down to, first of all, usage, because that's what I hear a lot. It's like, oh yeah, a lot of people are using melee. And then, like, if it comes from usage, and, like, not necessarily because, it's like, it's hindering other people's play, because, like, you're not playing against other players, you're playing against PvE sort of thing. It's like, if it's because of usage, like, why is that, my first question is like why okay, let me rephrase it. A lot of times like they're saying, because I remember this with the Itzel nerf, and we kind of talked about this back then too, but that's been like 2 years ago, where it's like, yeah, like a lot of people are using this over that, so we're gonna nerf it. It's like, but is that a problem? So like I really wonder, like, is it like when it comes to PvP games, like do nerfs come from like usage only? And if so, like, is usage like always a problem, or like are there also cases where that isn't a problem? Because this time, like, it just feels like a bit of a like, oh yeah, a lot of people are using melee right now, let's make it worse. And it doesn't really feel like it would really benefit much. But what do you think, Drew? Because like I'm standing from the outside, I'm looking in, I'm just like seeing these 2 games which got nerfs, and like I can more understand the PvP side of things now than I do the PvE.
So from my perspective,
Mm-hmm.
someone looking in, or looking out, I don't know. Like I'm inside this. I do think it's important that there is harmony, that there is
Mm-hmm.
balance. You know, you know, the force. Sorry, there needs to be a balance in the force. Two
Yeah.
Jedi, two Sith, whatever. Right. And the importance with the balance
Mm-hmm.
that allows you to improve the direction of your game, right? So one of the reasons why the Boltor Prime got nerfed / outshone was
Mm-hmm.
because you could get the Boltor Prime by Mastery Rank 2, and you had the best gun for the next 18 Mastery ranks.
Oh yeah, that was so good.
There was no reason to use any other gun.
Mm-hmm.
What does that do?
It basically means here you go, that's your gun for the game. You don't really explore anything else.
Right? And that in turn causes you to be bored because you're not doing it, you're just running around shooting shit. You're picking up new weapons.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting crafting materials for new weapons. You try them, they're worse. They're not as good.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to use them, right? So there's that incentive for a start. If you've got guns and melee, but melee trumps guns, why would you ever touch guns, right? So instantly you have halved, let's just say for argument's sake, you've halved the amount of content that the player base is going to engage with.
Mm-hmm.
That is a business perspective. I've also seen the argument, oh dear God, have I seen the argument, of why can't we have a condition overload for guns?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That, you build computers, yes? You
Yeah.
built your own computer, right? Okay, cool. You have an issue with your computer. Periodically, it will blue screen,
Mm-hmm.
then restart. Right?
Yep.
What do you do?
Well, it will probably be like an unstable element. Like a lot of times, like that will happen with overclocking, or like when you're like, I would first look at like, it depends on like what the blue screen thing is, because like sometimes it can be different blue screen errors. But like the first thing that I'm thinking of is like a power draw sort of thing. So like when like a lot of times you get blue screens when you have like increase like your overclock, like your clock speed on your like GPU sort of thing, and then like it draws too much, or your power supply is too low. But it could be many different things. There's instability in general in the system.
Okay, but what is the first step that, like this isn't a trick question. This isn't a me being a dick. This is me asking you, if you're going to address of you getting blue screens, multiple blue screens,
Mm-hmm.
right? What is the first thing you do?
First thing that I do, like try and narrow down the calls, so limit like the amount of things on my computer, and just and then like trying to see one by one if I turn these things on, like what's causing it.
Oh, sorry, one by one?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you test things one by one, Michelle? Why wouldn't you just test everything at once?
Because if you take it all at once, you don't know what's the fault, and if the thing is stable at the start, then you add something else, and it becomes unstable. Bada bing, bada boom. There you go.
Oh my God! If you change too many things, you won't know what the cause was?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck. I wonder if that has anything to do with some of the nerfs that they've applied to Warframe.
Explain.
Sorry. Right. So this is like people have said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a gun version of condition overload, right? If we were to introduce a gun version of condition overload, that means that it doesn't matter if you take guns or melee, you're going to slaughter everything just as quickly,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if we're slaughtering stuff too quickly, then that means the new baseline for normalized content will get to a higher level, right?
Mm-hmm.
So say without gun condition overload, we've got, let's call it gun load, condition gun load. There you go. Without condition gun load, let's say the norm for a player is level 50.
Yeah.
Right. And with condition overload, the melee version, the norm is level 80.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, all of a sudden, that level 50 has gone up to level 80. Right. So in order to actually get to the level 80 content, the new norm, it takes longer to do, because it takes longer to get to level 80 stuff than it does the level 50 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have to make it so that enemies get to level 80 faster. But then we have to consider the new progression system for the players, that, when they're getting there, they have to be able to deal with the level 80 stuff easier. So we have to make sure that they get condition overload and condition gun load fairly early on. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to deal with the new baseline of instantly. You have just changed shit tons of things, and it's become really difficult to measure, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is the new problem? What is the new cause of concern? Is it the fact that new players are struggling to get the new mods? Is it the fact that it takes it's too quick to get them to level 80. Is it, so on and so forth. By changing one thing, you can measure what the response is and then react, right?
Mm-hmm.
For example, when I get a blue screen, the first thing I go for is testing my RAM, right?
Mm-hmm.
I take something like Prime 95 and then I test my RAM to see if there are any errors, right? If there are, I then check the RAM modules one at a time,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I also test them one slot at a time. So like I'll take one module, I'll put it in the first slot. Okay, that's fine. I'll take the second module, I'll put it in the first slot. Okay, that's fine. I'll take the third module, put it in the first slot. Okay, that's fine. I'll take the fourth module, I'll put it in the first slot. Okay, that's fine. That's weird. There was an error with the RAM. I'll take the first module, I'll put it in the second slot. It's the second slot. It's not the RAM, it's the motherboard,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like I'll do it methodically, right? But I'm changing one thing at a time. If you change too many things, it becomes, well, fuck, what one was actually I've bought new RAM, I've bought a new hard drive, I've bought a new power supply. Fuck, which one was the actual problem?
You don't
Right? The
know.
problem's still that exactly, you don't know,
So
right?
so what you mean is that basically by like if you were to introduce something which would make guns more powerful, sort of thing, then basically like what would happen is you would be adjusting, like affecting so many more systems at the same time. Whereas like if you reduce the power of melee, like you would still have like that, the effect where like things equalize a little bit, they balance a little bit, but you don't affect this thing where like, oh, all of a sudden like the level of play goes a lot higher now, which could affect a whole bunch of regions.
Kind of. My point is, by bringing down the effectiveness of 3 mods,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can more easily assess the difference than if you were to increase the performance of 300 mods, 300 weapons, 40 warframes, shit tons of enemies. Like that's the point I'm trying to make.
Mm-hmm.
Because you change too many things, and like who knows, maybe adding in conditioned gun load does absolutely fucking nothing,
Mm-hmm.
right? We don't know. Maybe DE have actually tried it, because I can't envision them taking like Pablo, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that they actually mentioned during their breakdown video was these new arcanes for primary and secondary weapon. No, wait, no shit. No, sorry. They also talking about the stabby hand, the Assassin's Creed stabby hand.
Yeah.
What the fuck is it called?
Parasol, wasn't that the thing?
Parazon. Yeah. So they changed it so that the Parazon will allow you to do like mercy kills on a limited number of enemies. So it's not every enemy that has a chance of doing it. It's always 100% chance on specific
Mm-hmm.
enemies, like the heavy gunner and stuff,
Yeah.
right? And one of the things that you can do with the Parazon is increase the insta kill chance. So with the insta kill thing, you have to get them down to below a certain amount of health,
Mm-hmm.
and the big thing was you could up the base health to 80%, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could insta kill a heavy gunner when it's at 80% of its health, right? Now what they've done is they've actually given it like a degrading amount based on how much health the enemy has, right? So if the enemy has let's say 10,000 health, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of it being 80%, it'll be like down to 60%, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you still have to, otherwise, like, oh yeah, I've got it down to 8,000 health and now I've just killed it.
Yeah.
Right? It like the whole scaling difficulty just disappears,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the whole idea is, and so it does become more difficult with the higher the level of the enemy. But Pablo Terraz like, oh yeah, it's gonna be like level 445 before you start seeing it decrease. So this is really for people that go like the extra mile in fighting enemies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you have to consider like how much of an impact these changes are going to make. And obviously they've tested so much, like through simulation after simulation, just like in Rick and Morty, very powerful simulation, 5%. You know, whether or not that percentage is going to have or that change is going to have a positive or negative impact. They're not just going to go, we've sent them the mirth and we've thrown them out. They will have tested it themselves.
Yeah, well, like the thing which I was more curious about, like, is the thing which I was curious about with this thing, like particularly, is that when you talk about like the bolter prime, for instance, or the bolter that you could get at like mastering 2, and it was like the best gun for like 80 masterings, like basically because it becomes so early in the game, it becomes available so early in the game, like there's no reason really to find out something else. But however, what like I heard, and like again, there's somebody outside, so like I don't know the intricate details from it, but like what I've heard, especially from also people talking about it, some videos I watched on it, was that this was aimed for like the discrepancy between like the usage of guns compared to melee in higher end play, with the higher like and affecting the higher end mods of Condition Overload, Berserker, and Blood Rush primarily, which are generally mods that new players don't tend to have. So like I don't really see the same argument going up for something like the bolter, where it's like, okay, it's like if you pick up this thing, why would you pick up anything else beyond that, which would make the rest of the game boring. However, I would feel, or like I would imagine, like when we're talking about like the higher end play, which would be for the more dedicated players, as you're talking about, which is like a small percentage of the player base, when it comes to like getting these mods, which are generally already like kind of like an end game sort of thing to get, because they're all rather spares. I happened to like luck out in like Plains of Ireland with like 5 condition overloads at some point in time, and then never got like 5 again. So like I managed to give 4 away and luckily keep 1 for myself, because like, oh, this is mod special. Then I never got 1 anymore. But yeah, like these are things you kind of have to like work hard for to get. At that point in time, like I don't think it's anymore where this thing is like, oh yeah, now that you're like really enjoying melee, like you're never gonna try any of these guns anymore, because I feel like around that point in time, you probably have already a majority of the guns in the game. And then it feels to me that it's like it's more of like they just look at the usage statistics, or like that's an argument which I can imagine like that's being put, like, oh, people use a lot of melee at the higher ends of the game, and that needs to be changed. And like I wonder at that point why, if I'm at the end of the game sort of thing, and like I've already played with most of the guns and most of the melee, and I feel like I just really enjoy playing melee because that's the way I enjoy playing this game. Actually, that's somewhat for me. Like I tend to be more of like like a third guns, 2/3 melee, and then like a bit of abilities to keep me alive, but not like abilities for like CC spam or something. Just like keep me alive. I love Oberon's Renewal, that sort of stuff. But if that's my preferential style of play, like, is that necessarily a problem if I've already explored the rest of the game, compared to, you know, like I can imagine at the start of the game, if you haven't explored everything yet, there's like a lot of content that people are missing out on. But like if I'm at the end of the game, like let's say that there would be this thing where like people are spending like a majority of their time playing fashion frames sort of thing, but like they're modding up their, like coloring up their frames and stuff, which I know we know a lot of people do. Also personally, a lot of people like do that. But like wouldn't then that be something like, oh man, they're spending so much time just in the arsenal alone, like even though they've played like the entire game, maybe we should get them to play more of this. It's like, well, if that's my personal preference at the end of the day in a PvE game, like is that necessarily a problem? And that's something where I'm wondering about, like, how does that fit into it? Like, again, I don't know much about it, so like that's why I'm wondering.
But to be fair, you actually have a really valid point. Don't get me wrong. Unfortunately, I think your point is slightly invalidated by the fact that getting Condition Overload and getting Blood Rush easily be done from Deimos.
Oh my god, did they make it?
Yeah, so Blood Rush you can get from bounties in Deimos, and Condition Overload you can get from killing certain things in Deimos.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So, like, don't get me wrong, I was totally on board with what you were saying, but Condition Overload used to only be obtainable from I don't know what a Drekar Butcher is.
That's on what is it? On Uranus. No, is it? Fuck. Oh. It was like a
Uh,
special section of the Grenier and like only one place. So like
yes, yeah. It's the underwater sea lab tile set, and then the Kuva Bombard, right, which is like.
yeah.
So obviously that's the Kuva Fortress, and then the Leaping Thrasher. And if memory serves, the Leaping Thrasher is fucking hard enough to find as a stat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I imagine that's Eris. So when you've got like the closest point being Uranus, and you've brought it all the way to Deimos, that's really introduced it a lot earlier to the player base. So I do feel that the great thing about introducing it to the player base is you can be more certain with what the players have, right? If they don't have condition overload before Deimos, there's an easy way that they should be able to get it. That way, DE are able to, or any game developer, they're able to balance the game a lot better. Now, do I feel that these changes are necessary? Like the big one, I think, is a huge Swift kick in the nuts, which like it's not the one that I've heard the most, right? I actually think is Berserker being turned into Berserker Fury, because
Mm-hmm.
instead of being able to have 2 speed mods, you can only have 1 speed mod, right?
Yeah.
That I thought was personally the biggest, swiftest, firmest kick to the nards,
Yeah.
right?
No, I can see that too because like okay, I'll first get to that, and then like I'll get back to like the thing you raised because that's very interesting. I didn't know about that, and I kind of want to respond to that. But first, like the Fury one, like that was one which really stood out to me because like damage numbers in general, I don't really care about that because I've been there so many times when like damage numbers got nerfed and people are like, oh my god, it's the end of it. Oh my god, it's the end of like the fucking what was the kit secondary gun catch moon.
Oh, catch
The
me.
catch moon when that got
Yeah.
nerfed, like I still use that. I still enjoy it. Yes, it's less powerful, but it still fucking kills. So like, who cares? It's like damage numbers nerf don't really do much to me, but like I know some people really like the flow of the speed of the melee. Of the game, and like I play, like I really got hooked on Apex because of like the flow and the speed of the game. I really love that, and that's also something which I really enjoyed in Warframe, like the speed of the game and the speed of the man. Like man, I love that. So when like the attack speed gets nerfed, in like a pretty in like big sense because like you can't have Fury and like Berserker on anymore. Like that really takes away like the flow of the game. Like I don't mind necessarily when I do less damage, but like it's like the flow of my movements. Which again, like I haven't played yet, so like I don't know how it translates, but like I can imagine that that might be massively impacted. It's something which like people that only look at damage numbers might very easily overlook.
I agree. In all honesty, I very heavily well to save mental stress, I recommend people turn off damage numbers. I really
Yeah.
do. Right? I really like I retweeted a joke by let me get their name and everything because it's funny. It was oh come on, Munchkin, right? Mushkin rather, Mushkin. And the joke is there's a Sarin Prime, weapon changes. Huh? Let's see. Blood Rush got nerfed? No! Now my 6th form of Paracesis will only deal 900k damage instead of 1 million. Literally unplayable. Right. I retweeted this. Oh my god, the backlash I got. I had someone. Oh, you found it.
Mm.
I had someone turn to me and break down the maths of all of this stuff. And so if you were to do 100,000 damage, they say you just got to multiply it by 0.77, and that's the final number you get. Oh, I'm sorry. Is 77,000 damage not good enough? Right? It's like
Well, so that kind of comes down to what is it to like the thing which I kind of want to respond to with like when you brought up that they actually made these mods which I brought up like a lot more accessible. is that like I didn't know about that, and I do think that that is something which is very important to mention, sort of thing. Especially like a lot of videos which I watched didn't mention it. Like maybe they didn't even know because I didn't know, and like I wouldn't really know if it changes because generally I play far less, but also because like I don't really follow the drop locations of things which I already own, because why would I? And I think that like you can definitely argue that a like making a mod such like making these mods such as Condition Overload or Blood Rush more easily available is technically buffing the mod in a sense. Like you're not changing the statistics, but you're making it a lot more easier to acquire, which means that like basically you get more powerful stuff early on in the game. And like you could also do that by just like increasing the numbers of the stuff you get early on in the game, or you could just make like more powerful stuff earlier available. So like it is in a sense, it's a sort of buff, just in the same way that if you were to like make it harder to get, it would be a sort of nerf. And I think that that's something which has been like quite easily overlooked, and like that changes the context in which these things stand. And like basically they have been in a sense buffed, and now they get nerfed again. Like in that sense, like it makes it a lot more understandable that now like the balance has been changed because the context of this mod has been changed a lot. Though I do wonder whether that's the same for like the people that have farmed it, because like this is kind of like a question, like what kind of perspective do you stand? Because as I said, like I was looking at this from like the the game player who's already played everything, because I expect like around that time you tend to like get these mods because they're quite hard to get, and I feel like a lot of people that play with these mods like and play with these mods to like get the best build sort of thing, like they've gotten it like not for like the easy demos way or like the easy new ways, like they've gotten it for like farming years back, so they might not be aware of it, or like they might not be like it might not be something that concerns them. And to them, like this change, like negatively impacts them, but it doesn't really positively impact them because they've already explored all the weapons. So it's not like, oh, now I get to explore this new weapon or this new thing. It's more like, oh, so like I get like this gets taken away from me, so that like newer players might be served better because they have received this sort of thing. It's like, yeah, I get it. Like you don't need 77,000 damage at the start of the game. You probably don't need it at all for like anything Warframe throws at it, but like the bite-sized content focus. However, like if you're like play in Warframe, if your like satisfaction in the game comes from like not getting not like getting the best looking Warframe, but like the highest numbers that you're trying to attain, because oh my god, that's so cool, and all of a sudden that like gets taken away from like, oh yeah, so that like mid range players can like try guns instead of melee. I can imagine it. You just be like, okay, what? Because like you just like they like that's kind of been removed at that point in time. But like I can understand why they do it if like there has been like kind of a buff before and like a nerf comes in later. I get that, but like I think that that's kind of where this satisfaction might come from, where it's like, okay, so yeah, that really doesn't do anything for me, and now yeah, this is like I was so proud of this because this could 100% crit all the time, and now it doesn't, and like I can get that. And I can also get that you feel like that's insane because why do you need that and what are you complaining about? Like this entire thing of like, oh, 900,000 damage is literally unplayable. It's like, yeah, what are you complaining about? But at the same time, like if that's something you crafted at, it's like, could you imagine like how the what is it? How the fashion frame community would react if they changed like the shade, like the color spectrum by just like half a tick, or it's just like your color's just like slightly off. It's like a lot of people wouldn't notice, but like if you perfectly crafted your fashion frame to like look just perfect, and it's like, now all your colors are just like slightly off. Like I think some people would be pissed too.
I get that. My hope is that with these changes to these really core fundamental, like the whole, I mean, DE says that this is supposed to reduce the chasm in performance between gunplay and melee.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel it's to reduce the chasm between all the player base. Like it's supposed to be more of a steady curve in performance as opposed to just a flat. Hey, look, these players are all the way up here being super mega awesome. You're in the dirt right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I hope that this will lend to maybe newer versions of mods, because we're also getting the galvanized mods. So we're getting galvanized scope, which makes it's a better version of Argon scope. And I hope that we can get more mods like this that makes doing harder content more viable, right? I hope that if we're able to push these boundaries, we can start seeing mods, Riven mods, where you can actually lock a stat, right? Much like in Diablo 3. But the problem is, because there is this power vacuum, this gigantic divide between hardcore players and newer players, mid-level players, how can you justifiably make content for both of them? You realistically can't. You have to close the gap so that when you make new content, it is for everyone. Everyone can do it. Because if you just make stuff that's even higher up here and it's off the chart, right, these players are going to feel neglected and they're not going to want to go for it. They're going to drop off.
Well, I think that without going too much into the end game and content thing, which as I think we've addressed that in a FrameCast before, but that's something which is massively been discussed, especially since Plains of Eidolon came out and they started looking into the open worlds and stuff. I think that for now, I can very much understand what you say, and I didn't know about the buff that they pretty much gave to the acquisition of these mods, which is a really good new information sort of thing. And I think that I can understand the way that they're their balance, their nerfing is to bring balance, especially to the early players in the game, to not have people just straight up miss out of content. And I think that that's a good thing also, that's a good thing to keep in mind, that you don't have people just follow the meta and not care about anything else, not explore anything else. I think that that's something where I can definitely see as a game developer that would be something worth pursuing. I can also see how what you're saying, having these player bases drifting very far apart would be beneficial to neither, because something new would feel very easy to the end game players sort of thing who don't give a fuck about the new stuff. And I mean I had that with, what is it, Cyberpunk 2. I spent so much time in Cyberpunk trying to level everything up. I had everything boosted to the max, and then I went to this I chose the wrong section where I went actually to the Arasaka thing, and I was just absolutely hating that bit, because basically you get overpowered and stuff, and they're doing things against your will. I'm dude, if I am not in the cutscene, I can instantly murder everyone. Why the fuck am I so weak right now? What is this shit? I should be able to punch my way through. And that is weird. I can get that you don't want that. Even in a PvE game, you don't want to have these massive discrepancies, and you don't want to have this thing where early on people just choose the meta and they just go with it. At the same time, I do also think that there is a side where it's hey, if this is the way that I'd like to play, you should I think that it would be really good to explain how things balance this thing out, which goal is being served. Hey, we want to balance because this is more early acquired. So I think the balancing usage of stuff early on in the game is important. I think at the end of the game, I don't think it's as important, because then it becomes down to play stuff. If you have explored everything and you have a personal preference, then that should just be your personal preference. Play how you like. But I think that might be explored or explained maybe a little bit better. Again, I don't know necessarily how well they explain it, but a lot of times I feel people don't really feel they recognize it. So maybe it's explained, but they just completely miss it. But it's if it feels oh, this is just being nerfed because a lot of people use it, yeah, I get that feels you're being cheated out of something. But right now, if I hear that oh, hey, these things were actually made more earlier available, so it's actually affecting this balancing thing where people are just exploring these free mods, oh my god, it's so amazing, and never touching anything else. Yeah, that's a bit of a problem. So yeah, I can see that. I mean, to me, it was with the PvP side of things, it was a little bit more clear, because it was oh yeah, this thing just absolutely murders you. You stand no chance against it unless you have the same thing. So yeah, it's not good for anyone, because even the people that murder with this weapon, if that weapon's being used against them, they fucking are on the bad side too. So I can see that. But then again, Apex also has this thing where oh, a legend gets used so much that now we're just gonna nerf it because people use it way too much. I don't agree with usage all that much, because I'm yo, if that's just the style of gameplay you your style of gameplay shouldn't suffer, because more people like it as well. But I can also understand that you want, for early players especially, you want to have a certain balance. So yeah, actually there's a lot more in common there with the PvP first and PvE side of things than I imagined. So that was pretty cool.
Cool.
Speaking of something pretty cool, or comparing, how do you think that Discord and Gilda compare for today?
I gotta be honest. I think Discord is better in terms of video camera quality.
Oh, for sure.
For most of the time, at least. I mean, it has to work first.
Yep, it does, which it didn't do today. Anyway, I think we're 2 hours in, so I think we should call it a day for the FrameCast. This has been FrameCast 75, 25 more episodes until episode 100, which at this pace we're gonna reach in 25 years' time. Oh, get excited, everyone! But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I certainly did. It's been a while since we've done one. And it's been a while since we've done one where we just like talk more about ideas than like news topics, because the news has been like a little bit flat. I enjoyed it. If you want to see this amazing man in like more higher pixels, in more higher quality, go over to YouTube. YouTube becomes like Xeno Galleon for some pretty good quality content right there. Go to over to YouTube becomes 10 o'clock. If you want to learn more like about the intricacies of this Warframe melee situation and some more stuff, there's been like a big discussion on that like the last week on 10 o'clock. It was just Drew and Laws again, no guests, so it's just like the good old setting. Check it out, youtube.com/10 o'clock. If you want to see this podcast like back on YouTube, youtube.com/Postma Games, that's where it's at tomorrow at like this time. And yeah, I think that's it. Do you have anything to add, Drew? FrameCast 75.
Yes.
Indeed. Let's end on that. Goodbye, everyone.